Hello and welcome back, and I know what you're thinking. I can tell by the way you click the screen. You're absolutely sick of being price gouged and done over by Netflix, by Apple TV, by Disney Plus and your Paramounts. You've decided to go local. You want to host your own multimedia server, have your own Netflix with your own media without paying a monthly cost. And that's what today's video is about. I'm going to tell you the 5 best NAS devices released in 2025 for hosting either Plex, Emby or Jellyfin, the 3 best, I would argue, multimedia server apps in the market right now. Now, a few caveats and rules out the gate. Number 1, we're only talking about devices released in 2025. We make a video like this every year where we talk about the best of that year. And I'm going to link to the previous year's ones below. But normally whenever you buy a bit of hardware with the software included, you want to know you're getting all of those software updates. So we're only looking at 2025 for this vid. Also, we're only looking at turnkey NAS solutions. That is when the hardware and the software is included together for ease. We're not looking at DIY solutions. We're not looking at things that you buy and have to install on RAID or TrueNAS or software that you may not have even heard of and you don't want to knuck around. You don't even know what a KVM is. You just want to set up Plex and bugger off and do the rest of your life. I get it. Next up, in terms of multimedia, all but one of the solutions I'm going to talk about today can natively play 8K. Now, we're not going to make 8K a hard and fast rule, but when it comes to 4K multimedia and 1080p, we must be able to natively play not only 4K and 1080p, but we also have to be able to transcode at least 2 4K multimedia files at once and at least 5 1080p multimedia files at once. Transcoding, for those that aren't aware, is when a file is reshaped to be better suited to the destination device, be it remotely over the internet, be it a small phone where you don't want to watch an 8K version of Avatar, whatever. You have to be able to reshape the file on the fly. So all of the solutions we're going to talk about today can do that with 4K and 1080p. And remember, we are looking at devices that support Jellyfin, Emby or Plex. All of them support Plex, by the way, but some of them, or one of them at the very least, does not support Jellyfin or Emby, and I'll flag that later on in the video. But with that out of the way, let's go through our recommended 5. Now, I know the BeeStation Plus 8TB is going to be a contentious recommendation for those that have actually done their homework in the world of NAS. Synology is a brand in 2025 that frankly really essed the bed in terms of its marketing. But this device, the BeeStation 8TB, and its target demographic is still pretty hot and on point. Arriving at about $399, $409. This arrives with a quad-core Intel Celeron processor, arguably quite an old one, but it kind of still does the job. It's got 4 gig of DDR4 memory inside, and it arrives with 8 terabytes out the gate pre-installed. If you are looking for setup and forget, and your multimedia needs aren't Johnny Big Bananas Banana Pants, this is actually pretty bloody good and ease of setup. It is set up within 10 minutes. It is one of the easiest NASes I've ever set up. Legitimately, I think a child could set this up. Arriving with network connection out the gate and USB connectivity, it also arrives with a bunch of applications and services from Synology, but moreover, it's one-click install for Plex to be installed and take advantage of hardware transcoding straight out the gate. It is not the most impressive Synology. It is not the most impressive NAS with no RAID functionality there. So you are going to have to make sure you've got either a remote backup or a NAS to NAS backup or a USB backup. But in terms of multimedia, for many looking for a simple alternative to streaming services, 8 terabytes is a lot of space and low power consumption, low impact and noise, and just low price and ease of setup makes the BeeStation Plus 8TB still a solid multimedia release. But keep in mind, this is for Plex only. No Jellyfin right now and no Emby right now. That might change in the future, but this is just for your Plex users. Moving away from the economical, let's talk about something beefier. This is the Minisforum N5. This arrives at around $599. It has seen a promo back and forth, and there is a pro version, and I'm not going to talk about the pro version. We're going to strictly talk about the standard N5. Now, it arrives with a Ryzen 7 255 processor. That is an 8-core 16-thread CPU, and it's also got a 12-core 2.6 gigahertz integrated graphics component to to that processor. It also arrives with the Minis Cloud OS on board, and although you can use third-party operating systems, remember that rule, turnkey. I bring it up because not only does this comfortably and easily support Plex, Emby and Jellyfin, depending on your own user case scenario, but that beefy processor and a huge amount of scalability at 5 bays and connectivity on the rear at both 10 gig and 5 gig means this thing can facilitate everything, every kind of multimedia. This has got future proofing coming out of the wazoo, and on top of that, thanks to its support of both 3 M.2 NVMe bays and support of Oculink and a PCIe upgrade slot, which I don't expect you to know what that means right now, but ultimately that means that in terms of scalability, you can add a graphics card, add more storage later on. This is a heck of a Plex server, a phenomenal Jellyfin server, with the added benefit that once you learn a bit more about NAS and you want to start doing more with your investment, this ends up being more than multimedia. There is everything you want to do, this can do, from containers and virtualization to surveillance and more. So yes, we're buying this for multimedia, but the real point here is afterwards, the scalability outwards in every which way is A1. Many of you are going to notice in this video that I'm trying to keep things economical. Yes, you could build your own and save some money, although you will have to spend some time on it. And yes, you could go nuts and spend a couple of grand on some monster nightmare server that lasts you the next 20 to 25 years. But I know for many of you, as your first move away from streaming services onto your private server ownership, you don't want to spend that kind of money. And very few devices do a better job of bridging that momentum away from cloud and away from streaming than this. This is the TerraMaster F4 SSD. Now, this rocks out at full retail price at $399, but it is regularly on offer at seasonal events as low as $320. It has got 4 M.2 NVMe bays inside. That means rather than using clunkier hard drives, this device uses much faster M.2 NVMe's that you can get these days 4 terabytes for around $200. Alongside that, it arrives with a very economical N95, not the mobile phone, CPU inside a quad-core Alder Lake processor. And alongside that, 8 gig of DDR5 memory and a 5 gigabit network connection. It also arrives with the TerraMaster TOS software that not only means you can install all of the multimedia apps we've discussed thus far, one click, but on top of that, the CPU with integrated graphics on board and a direct pass-through for hardware transcoding, again, Plex, Jellyfin and Emby, means that this is going to be able to do the works. Also, low impact, low power consumption, low noise make it a very attractive proposition for many of you looking for a small, compact media server that you can set up and not notice because of the lack of noise that M.2s actually make, those little SSDs. But thanks to its support of TerraMaster's T-RAID, that means you can just run with 1 or 2 SSDs on day one and start adding others as your media grows and as the price of SSDs drop. So this at $399, or realistically way less at $320 to $350, is a great compact, lightweight, low trouble NAS server for your multimedia. But just keep in mind that the software it arrives with isn't as polished as something like a Synology or a QNAP, and although the latest versions of that software in TOS 7 are a lot better, the software is not quite as intuitive as some out there, but it is still turnkey, and at this price and its capability, inarguably it deserves its place on this list. Do you remember earlier when I said no DIY, it has to be turnkey? Well, this next one is going to catch some of you off guard. The Zimmerboard 2 from Icewell is a single board server, and you may also have noticed it's not here on the table. And that's because it's always working here at NASCompares. It's been used in countless projects over at Digibyte and here on NASCompares. It is a single board fanless server that you can attach to pretty much anything, whether you want to connect it to a traditional old USB drive you've got knocking around or a big one, or attach it to a larger NAS server. But with the duller, more affordable NAS server, let this take care of Plex, take care of Jellyfin, take care of Emby. This little small box device arrives with the N150 quad-core Intel Twin Lake processor. It also arrives with between 8 and 16 gig of DDR5 memory with a couple of 2.5 gig ports on it as well. This device is insanely low impact, but more precisely allows you to scale your storage your way. It's not a box which everything has to live within. It is the brains of a NAS that allows you to work outside of it, adding SATA hard drives, adding SATA SSDs, adding enclosures, adding whatever you want, and scaling a media server that perhaps you've got an old device knocking around, an old telly, an old PlayStation 1. Do you want to use the shell for something that looks a bit chic? You can use a Zimmer board too and put this inside and then have a media server that actually blends in with your home environment, your home cinema, your desk, your sofa table, whatever. It's a lovely little customizable Plex scale-up device, and at just $219, it's a great little base limit. And a number of you might be screaming, but you said turnkey. I'm going to need Unraid or TrueNAS. You're not. It arrives with Zimmer OS, one of the most user-friendly, freely available NAS operating systems in the market, with a mobile application, a desktop application, and the full thing controllable at low impact, low import resource use via your web browser there. And one-click installation of Jellyfin, Emby, and Plex. There's a lot to love here, and there's a reason it's not on the table, because it's always working. Now this last one, I would argue, is going to be very contentious, and that is the Ugreen DH4300 Plus. This is the only NAS on today's video that uses an ARM CPU, ARM. These are CPUs designed for mobiles, tablets, and basically low power devices that have to eke by. ARM CPUs take all the instructions to the CPU and compress them to use less power to get the job done. And generally, I would never ever recommend an ARM CPU NAS for multimedia, largely because ARM CPUs get real hot and real overworked very quick. However, this uses an RK 8-core, technically 2 4-core processor chip inside. It also has integrated graphics on board and 8K HDMI out. It also supports 4 hard drives inside and arrives with the UGOS software that allows you to install any multimedia app you want, either via containerization or several of the apps available at one click within the App Center there, with mobile applications and desktop applications readily available to synchronize and ease the transition from streaming services onto the device. But moreover, from that, you are able to take advantage of this device with very low power consumption, low impact in terms of noise in your operational environment, and moreover than anything, that low cost and scale up. Now, it won't play 8K. I'll tell you that right now. When I've tried to natively play 8K, in most scenarios, it had to work a little too hard. But for 4K transcoding and 1080p transcoding, weirdly, this ARM CPU just stretched its muscles and went, come on, give us some more. It is easily one of the best ARM-powered NAS devices I've ever discussed in terms of Plex, and it deserves its place on this list. But there you go. Those are the best turnkey NAS solutions of 2025 for Plex, Jellyfin, or Emby. I know it's going to be contentious, and let's argue in the comments. Also, remember, previous year's other devices are out there and still available for sale, so I recommend you check out those videos, or I'll link to them below. But these are the ones that I think right now just cover a lot of the bases in terms of cost, in terms of impact, in terms of ease of use, and ultimately to make the most of your multimedia and get the hell away from streaming services. Don't put an eye patch on yet, keep it legal. But thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, and if you want to learn more, there are links below to other videos. And if you want to support what we do and you were going to go to the shops listed in the description below, It's just me and Eddie here. It's just us doing this. The whole of NASCompares in the free support. So if you want to support us in the most passive, easy, free way you can, and you're going to buy the devices anyway, use those links. We get a small commission on anything you buy via those links. And it costs you nothing extra, and you support people like me and Eddie or other content creators when you use their links passively and in the most easy way you can. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.